My mom is dating my ex and invited him to my wedding. I don't know if I'm writing this for advice, validation, or just because I feel like I'm going insane. I'm getting married in 3 months to an incredible man, someone who actually sees me, respects me, supports me. The kind of relationship I used to daydream about while crying in the bathroom of my last one. But my mother has decided to make this wedding about her, or more specifically, about her boyfriend, who just so happens to be my ex. Let me back up. Jordan, and I dated from ages 22 to 26. For years, we met at work, moved in together, went through all the usual stuff, anniversaries, trips, talking about the future. There was a point I really thought we'd get married. But Jordan was a slow-burning type of toxic. He wasn't outright cruel. He wasn't violent. But he was manipulative, selfish, emotionally stunted, and I didn't see it clearly until the last year we were together. The constant stonewalling, the subtle put-downs, the fact that he treated my accomplishments like inconveniences to his ego. He cheated once that I know of. A co-worker claimed it was an emotional lapse. I stayed. I shouldn't have. We broke up when I found out he was messaging another woman, again, not even hiding it this time. I told him to leave. He moved out within a week. I cried for a month. I blocked him on everything. I rebuilt my life from the ground up. Michael came into my life about a year later. Kind, funny, stable. He works in finance, but he's got the soul of a poet. Cooks dinner every Friday. Remembers things I say in passing weeks later. Makes me feel safe in ways I didn't know I was missing. He proposed last fall. Just the two of us. No big production. Just warmth and sincerity and a kind of, yes, that doesn't come with hesitation. My mom was thrilled. At least, I thought she was. My relationship with my mom has always been complicated. She's the type of woman who thrives on attention. Always needs to be the center of a room. Growing up, I was often the audience to her chaos, her bad dates, her emotional breakdowns, her drama with friends. She's beautiful, charismatic, and exhausting. She loved Jordan. Always did. Honestly, too much. I used to joke that she liked him more than I did. They'd have wine together while I cleaned up dinner. She'd post about our power couple energy on Facebook. She once told me Jordan reminded her of my dad, who left when I was 12, by the way, not exactly a glowing endorsement. When we broke up, she took it personally. Not in a, how could he do that to you? Way. In a, are you sure you're not overreacting? Way. As if I'd ended a good thing because I was being too sensitive. I didn't tell her the cheating detail. At the time, I didn't want to hear her defend him. About 7 months ago, I noticed something strange. We were talking on the phone and she slipped up. She said, "Oh, I was with Jor, a friend last night." I paused. Me, wait, Jordan? Her, yeah. We ran into each other, grabbed a drink. He's doing really well. Me, okay? She changed the subject quickly, but the tone in her voice made my stomach twist. I told myself I was being paranoid. Maybe they had bumped into each other. Maybe she was just being nosy, catching up, but something about the way she said his name stuck with me. 3 weeks ago, she came over for dinner. Just her. Michael was working late. I made pasta and wine. I was hoping for an easy night. Halfway through the meal, she looked at me and said, completely calmly, "I want to tell you before someone else did, I'm seeing Jordan." I laughed, genuinely thought she was joking. Me? You're what? Her. We reconnected months ago. It just sort of happened. I didn't want to lie to you. I stared at her, fork in hand, like she just told me she'd adopted a raccoon and named it after me. Me. You're dating my ex? My ex of 4 years. She got defensive immediately. You're engaged. You've moved on. Jordan and I are adults. We didn't mean for this to happen. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. I just got up, walked into the other room, and sat on the floor with my head in my hands. She followed me. You're being dramatic. You're marrying someone else. This shouldn't even matter anymore. That was the last thing she said before she left. I didn't tell Michael at first. I needed time to process. Then 2 days ago, my cousin, who's helping with seating arrangements, texted me, "Hey, just double checking. Is it okay that Jordan's on the guest list?" I froze. Apparently, my mom RSVP'd with Jordan as her guest. She didn't ask. She didn't mention it. She just assumed I'd be okay with my ex, the man who cheated on me, who gaslit me, who she's now dating, being at my wedding. When I called her, she was indignant. I'm not going to be told who I can or can't bring. He's my partner. If you don't want me there, just say so. I hung up. Then I cried. For hours. When I told Michael everything, all of it, he didn't say anything at first. Then he just said, "She's not coming." Simple. Final. I told him I wasn't sure I had the strength to actually uninvite her. That no matter how much she hurt me, she was still my mom. He took my hand and said, "You don't owe loyalty to people who use their title to abuse your boundaries." And that's what it is, isn't it? She thinks being my mother means she gets a free pass to violate every line I draw, even if it means sleeping with the man who hurt me most. Of course, word's gotten out now. My aunt messaged me. She's heartbroken. She thought you'd be happy for her. Happy? That's the part that kills me. My mother genuinely believed I would, or should, be happy that she's dating my ex. Like the story of my pain is just a footnote in her romance. Like I'm not allowed to be hurt anymore, because I've moved on. I don't know what to do. Michael wants me to cut her off, to send one final message and revoke her invitation entirely. Part of me wants to. God, part of me wants to scream at her, to stand up for myself the way I never did in the past. But another part, the one she trained so well, is still whispering, "Don't be mean. Don't overreact. Don't ruin the wedding." But she ruined it. Not me. I just haven't decided how loud I'm going to be about it yet. You know that feeling when you're so angry, you don't even cry anymore? That's where I'm at. There's a kind of grief that happens when someone dies, and a different kind of grief that happens when someone you love chooses to become a stranger. My mother's been dead to me in waves over the years. Little betrayals, selfish choices, backhanded comments. But this was a funeral. The nail, the burial. And the worst part is, she brought the shovel herself. Before I tell you what happened when I finally confronted her, I need to explain something I've only recently admitted to myself. My mom's always been this way. Growing up, she wasn't abusive. Not in the way people usually think. There weren't bruises or screaming matches. There were manipulations, little punishments for independence, guilt disguised as love. If I got an A, she'd say, "Guess you won't need me for anything anymore." If I spent time with friends, she'd call 3 times an hour, just making sure you're still alive. When I got my first job, she told me she was jealous that I had my own money, jealous of her child. She made every achievement feel like a betrayal. And Jordan? He fit perfectly into that system. A man who could treat me like crap and still be charming to her. A man who never challenged her authority in my life. She adored him because he reinforced her version of me. Small, dependent, not too loud. So when I finally stood up for myself and ended things with him, she saw that as a betrayal. 2. I gave myself a few days to calm down after I found out she RSVP'd with Jordan. I didn't want to scream. I wanted her to remember every word. So I called. She answered immediately. Her, "Hey, sweetheart." Me, "We need to talk. Now." There was a pause. That, kind of pause she gets when she realizes I'm not in approval-seeking daughter mode. I didn't wait. Me, "You don't get to bring Jordan to my wedding. You don't get to force me to look at the face of the man who broke me while I'm trying to start a life with someone else." Her, "Are you serious right now?" Me, completely, "You can come." Or he can. Not both. Another pause. Then she laughed, short, sharp. Her, "So you're giving me an ultimatum at your own wedding?" Me, "No. You gave yourself one the second you put him ahead of me. I'm just clarifying the rules." What followed was a masterclass in emotional gaslighting. She started crying. Hard, but not the kind of tears that come from remorse. These were performance tears. I've seen them before. Crocodile tears, rehearsed breath hitches, every line crafted to make me feel like the abuser. I gave you everything. I sacrificed so much for you. And now you're punishing me for being happy. You're being territorial, controlling. You sound just like your father. He's not the same person anymore. People change. Then the final gut punch. Why can't you just be happy that someone loves me? I sat there on the phone, stone silent, while she waited for me to bend. I didn't. I took a deep breath, said the words I never thought I'd say to her. You're not coming if you bring him. That's not a threat. That's a boundary. Choose whoever makes you happiest, but understand that your choice has consequences. She hung up, just like that. I haven't heard from her in 10 days. 10 days without a call, a text, a guilt-tripped voicemail. Nothing. But my cousin, the same one helping with the wedding, did hear from her and sent me a screenshot. It was a group text to several family members. I won't be attending the wedding. Apparently, my love life is too offensive. I wish my name the best, but I won't be shamed for finding love where I least expected it. Cue the family backlash. It's like someone split my extended family into 2 camps overnight. Camp A, she's your mom. You only get one. Just suck it up. Camp B, your wedding is about you, not her drama. I expected to feel guilt. Instead, I just felt clarity. Every message that started with, "But she's your mother," told me one thing. They'd never lived with her. They'd never had to shrink for her. They never had to choose themselves over her approval. I did, and I'm not walking backward now. Michael's been my rock through all of this. He didn't say, "I told you so." He didn't gloat. He just held me that night and said, "She's not going to change. But you don't have to twist yourself around her forever." I don't think I realized until that moment how much of my life has been shaped by trying to earn her love. Michael never made me earn anything. We sent out updated RSVP confirmations to guests. And yes, her name is no longer on the list. We also tightened the security plan with the venue. No surprise guests. No plus ones at the door. I'm not taking any chances. And for the first time in months, I feel something I haven't felt since the proposal. Excited. Not anxious, not resentful, not preoccupied with who might ruin it. Just ready. I thought cutting her out would destroy me, but it didn't. What's weird is how quiet my brain is now. The inner voice that used to whisper, "Make her proud," or "Don't upset her," or "Just let it go," is gone. She created that voice, fed it, weaponized it. And now that it's gone, I'm realizing how much space she took up in my mind. In my decisions, in my self-worth. It's like I've been living in a house full of echoes, and suddenly everything's still. If you're reading this and wondering if you're allowed to set boundaries with your parent, let me be clear. You are. It's not betrayal. It's not disrespect. It's survival. You don't owe anyone access to your life just because they share your DNA, especially not someone who chooses your pain over their pleasure. It's done. We're married. The wedding happened, and it was beautiful, honest, raw, imperfect in the best possible way. But it didn't go off without drama, because, of course, my mother showed up. And yes, she brought him. The night before the wedding, I barely slept. Not because I was nervous about marrying Michael. That part felt easy. I was excited to see him, to step into that next chapter. But I was on edge. Every buzz on my phone made my stomach clench. I hadn't heard from her in over 2 weeks. She hadn't reached out again since her mass text disinviting herself. I assumed she'd stay away, but I should have known better. We gave the venue staff a clear do not admit list. 2 names. Jordan, my mother. Even saying her name out loud to the coordinator made me feel sick. I remember pausing over it, thinking, am I really doing this? But I did. Because she wasn't coming to witness a wedding. She was coming to own the narrative, and I wasn't going to let her. Let me say this clearly. The ceremony was perfect. I wore the dress I always wanted, nothing extravagant, but simple, elegant ivory. My best friend walked me down the aisle, a choice I made early on, long before the drama. Michael was waiting for me under an arch draped in white and gold. He cried. I cried. Our vows were messy and beautiful. My hands shook the entire time, but I've never felt more grounded in my life. The people who mattered were there, my chosen family. Friends who've seen me at my worst and loved me anyway. It felt real, sacred, safe, for a while. Clinking glasses at reception, a ghost from the past. We made it halfway through the reception before it happened. I was talking with one of Michael's cousins when I noticed a shift. That hush that falls when something isn't quite right. I turned, and there she was, my mother, standing just inside the reception hall in a long red dress. On her arm, Jordan. My legs literally buckled. She had this smug, pitying look on her face. The kind of expression that says, look at how composed I am, and look how unstable you are for reacting. Jordan didn't even make eye contact, just hovered like a ghost, like he knew he shouldn't be there, but wasn't man enough to leave. To the venue's credit, they stepped in fast. Our coordinator intercepted them almost immediately. I couldn't hear what was said. I was too stunned to move. But within minutes, a security staffer asked them to leave. My mom gestured wildly, clearly trying to argue. Then she looked directly at me and mouthed, "Really?" I didn't blink, didn't flinch, just turned away. She didn't deserve a scene. She wanted one. I refused to give it. They left. Michael didn't even ask. He just wrapped his arm around me and said, "She showed you exactly who she is." Again. I felt like someone had pressed rewind on all the years of therapy, all the boundaries I'd built, all the work I'd done to become someone not ruled by her. But I didn't break. Instead, I took a breath, turned to my guests, and said, "Let's dance." And we did, for hours. No more interruptions. No more ghosts. Just joy. The next morning, I woke up to a long email from her. The subject line? I hope it was worth it. I won't copy the whole thing here. It's too long and too venomous. But the highlights. She accused me of publicly humiliating her. Said I had no respect for the role she played in my life. Claimed I forced her to choose and that I'd made my wedding about control. Told me I ruined any chance at reconciliation. She ended it with, "Don't contact me again unless it's to apologize." I deleted it without replying. Here's the part one didn't expect. Several family members reached out and apologized. Apparently, my mom lied to them, said I had invited her, and that she was welcome back to the wedding after some clearing the air. When they realized the truth, that she crashed the event with my ex after being explicitly told not to come, they were horrified. My aunt, previously one of her biggest offenders, said, "I love your mom, but she's not well, and she's not safe to be around you." It meant more than I expected, not because I needed them on my side, but because for once, someone else saw it, too. It's surreal. You spend your whole life thinking, maybe if I'm more patient, maybe if I just explain it better, maybe if I forgive her one more time. But eventually, the maybe dies, and what's left is peace. Real peace. Not the kind that comes from keeping the peace, but the kind that comes from choosing yourself. We went to the mountains. No self-service. No distractions. Just us. I read books. We cooked together. Sat by a fireplace and listened to the wind howl through the trees. It was everything the wedding was meant to be. Not about proving anything. Just being together. I cried once. Not out of grief. Out of relief. Because I finally felt free. If you're still stuck in the belief that you owe someone a relationship because of biology, ask yourself this. If they were a stranger, would I let them treat me this way? If the answer is no, then you already know what to do. Family is more than blood. And sometimes, freedom looks like an empty seat at your wedding. It's been 6 weeks since the wedding. It still doesn't feel entirely real. Like I was dropped into someone else's life, told to play the role of the bride, and just now stumbled off stage to process everything. But this part, the part after the chaos, is where the truth lives. The part where people show you who they really are. I haven't heard from my mother since the email with the subject line, "I hope it was worth it." No text, No voicemails. Not even when her passive-aggressive social media posts about toxic daughters or how hurt people. Just radio silence. And you'd think I'd feel devastated, that I'd be crying in the dark or staring at old family photos wondering what I've done. But here's the weird part. I feel calm. A little sad, sure, but more like the kind of sad you feel when you clean out a closet and find something that doesn't fit anymore. Nostalgia, not grief. Now that's where the real drama landed. Apparently, my mom spun a very different version of the wedding crash story to her side of the family. According to her, she and Jordan showed up after getting last-minute approval from me, and I changed my mind in public to embarrass her. She said she only brought Jordan to prove she could be the bigger person. Side note, who brings someone else's cheating ex to their daughter's wedding for moral leverage? A few people believed her. One of my uncles called me vindictive in a comment thread on Facebook. Yes, Facebook. But most are finally seeing the cracks. Of all people, Jordan reached out. A 2-paragraph email. He said he didn't intend to cause drama, but that he thought I'd changed by now and was hoping for closure. He added that he still cares about me and wanted to wish me happiness. I didn't respond, but I reread that message 10 times, and I couldn't decide what bothered me more, that he still sees himself as a victim, or that my mother picked that kind of man to stake her identity on. Either way, they deserve each other. 2 weeks after the wedding, my dad called me. For context, my dad left when I was 12. He remarried, had more kids, moved across the country, and we barely speak except on birthdays or holidays. My relationship with him is more neutral than bitter at this point. So when he called out of nowhere, I assumed it was about my wedding. It was, "Dad, I heard what happened with your mom." Me? Yeah, it was a lot. "Dad, she's always had a way of making everything about her." That sentence hit harder than I expected. We talked for half an hour. About nothing and everything. About how sorry he was for the distance. About how proud he was of the person I'd become. It wasn't some magical healing moment, but it was something. A sliver of humanity. And that's more than I ever got from my mom. My therapist and I spent 3 sessions unpacking the wedding weekend. We talked about trauma repetition, how daughters of emotionally manipulative mothers often end up with partners like Jordan until they finally break the cycle. We talked about mother hunger, the grief of never having had the mom you needed, even though she was physically there. But most importantly, we talked about narrative control. For years, my mother controlled the story. She was a fun mom, the cool one, the one who loved Jordan, the one who was just trying to help. But now, people saw what she really is. And I finally get to write my own story. After everything, Michael and I hosted a casual backyard barbecue to celebrate with a smaller circle. Friends only. No drama. Just laughter, ribs, wine, and board games. That night, I gave a short toast. It wasn't planned. I just stood up with a half-full glass of sangria and said, "Thank you all for loving me even when I didn't love myself. And thank you for showing up not just at the wedding, but for every part of the story before it." There were tears. Michael kissed my cheek like I just won an award. And I thought, this is what family is supposed to feel like. You know what I realized? I don't miss walking on eggshells, wondering which version of her I'd get that day, feeling like love was a prize I had auditioned for, having to shrink myself to be easier to love. It's like I've been holding my breath since I was a kid and didn't realize it. And now I finally exhaled. I don't know if she'll ever read this. I doubt she even knows Reddit exists. But if she did, here's what I'd say. You didn't lose me because of Jordan. You lost me because I finally chose myself. Because you taught me how to set boundaries by crossing every single one. Because you taught me to recognize emotional abuse by showing me the blueprint. And you taught me how to break cycles by giving me every reason to never become you. I hope you're happy. But I hope you know this. I'm not your mirror anymore.